Round Rock, Texas is easily one of the most popular places for people to relocate when they're coming to the greater Austin area. But is it right for you? Let's find out. Hey again everybody, this is Frank with the team of agents at JB Goodwin Realtors. Each and every week we put out tons of new content about living in Austin, Texas, the good and the bad. So consider subscribing if you haven't already and ring that little bell to be notified each and every time we put out a new video. In addition to that, we love the reach outs we get all the time from people just like you who are in need of our help when relocating to this great city of Austin, Texas. So keep them coming. Do not hesitate, whether you're 9 days away or 90, go ahead and shoot us a text, give us a call, send us an email any day of the week, any time of day. We've got your back when moving to Austin, Texas. So let's get right to it and talk about Round Rock, Texas. And since the nature of this video is bringing up things you might not have thought about as to why it might not be right for you, I figured we'll get some of the good stuff about Round Rock out of the way first, a little brief summary of it, and then we can get to the things that you might want to learn about. For starters, Round Rock has quite the reputation. It is essentially the place to move if you don't want to be in the heart of downtown Austin. Yes, we have Leander, Georgetown, Cedar Park, Pflugerville, Manor, Hutto, all of these different options, but Round Rock is going to be the largest one easily and the most respected one. It has some of the best schools that you'll hear about. As a city, it's won too many awards to count. There's an abundance of things to do. It has relatively strong diversity as well, at least when compared to the other suburbs surrounding the city of Austin, and it has a wide variety of different types of homes, different types of neighborhoods, and accordingly, different types of budgets for different types of buyers. And if you are wanting to learn more about Round Rock, we do have a number of other longer videos specific to it that you can watch to educate yourself. But for now, let's get to some of the reasons why it might not be right for you. And the first thing I wrote down on my list is its size. Round Rock, Texas has approximately 140,000 people living there when compared to the other suburbs throughout Austin, Texas, Hutto, Leander, Cedar Park, even say Kyle or even Buda or even Georgetown. They're all going to be smaller, and some people might like that, some people might not. We've gotten calls from clients who want to be in Austin, but they want more Texas than they want more Austin. So they want something a little bit more removed from the city, a little bit smaller, a little bit more peaceful. On the other hand, a lot of people that reach out to us, they like being around a lot of people. This is why places with high populations increase even higher and higher and higher. I think it's just human nature. We want to be where all the people are. And Round Rock really is, as I mentioned, a hub for people who don't want to be in the city, but they want to still enjoy the fruits of being in the greater Austin area. And while it does maintain quite a suburban feel, that is the best way I would describe Round Rock, even though it is its own city with its own zip code, you're still going to have the drawbacks of a large population. And the first thing that comes to my mind is traffic. Obviously, you're going to see traffic anywhere you live, especially come rush hour time. But what I found spending time in Round Rock is that it is very much its own city in the sense of it has its own traffic. A lot of the reason why people don't want to live in the city is to be in peaceful suburbia that doesn't have any traffic like that. And I'm not saying that the traffic in Round Rock is comparable to an urban setting like a downtown. However, it is going to be a bit worse than you think. Moving right along to another reason why Round Rock, Texas might not be right for you is its proximity to downtown Austin. Now, as mentioned, Round Rock is massive when compared to the other towns surrounding Austin. So granted, you could live in Round Rock and be only 20 minutes from the heart of downtown, or you could still live in Round Rock, perhaps a little bit further north and be 35 to 40 minutes removed from the city of Austin. And the reason this might be a bad thing is A, the commutes. So a lot of people, they might want to work out of Round Rock, which many do because of Dell or because of healthcare or jobs and education, but many people might be working corporate downtown or even tech within the tech corridor. And some people, depending on where they're moving from, are used to quite a short commute or even working from home, which makes this all irrelevant. But a lot of them do work just around the corner, or it's a short commute they can either walk to or cycle to, to. And then on the other hand of things, a lot of the reach outs we get are from people from Manhattan or San Francisco or Los Angeles who are used to commutes of easily an hour, if not more. So for them, it's a breath of fresh air. It just depends on which walk of life you come from. In addition to the commutes, another reason why the proximity from downtown could be viewed as a negative thing is, yes, the point of a suburb is to be removed. That is what you sign up for. That is why you do it. However, as mentioned, Round Rock does have a very suburban feel. And so while you do have things to do in Round Rock, a plethora of them, they are going to be more suburban things to do. And so, you know, if you're wanting the music venues, if you're wanting the abundance of nature trails and hiking spots, if you're wanting great joints for beer or for coffee, if you're wanting to go to museums, if you're wanting to see art, things of that nature, you are going to have to leave Round Rock to do those things, especially if you want to hit an abundance of the bars or clubs that downtown Austin has to offer, even some of the nicer restaurants. So if you're cool with the distance and you know what you're signing up for, I'll say no more. But in case you're not, I felt it worth mentioning. Up next, moving on to another factor that perhaps works against Round Rock is the subject of property taxes. And if you are a longtime subscriber, you might be rolling your eyes because it is the billionth time I'm mentioning it. But if you're new to the channel, this is why I bring it up. Truth of the matter is, in our profession, we hear people coming from states where their property tax rate is 0.5%, 1%, 1.5%. And that is quite a luxury. But here in Texas, there is no state income tax, and many believe that the way Texas kind of balances that out is with the property taxes, regardless of if it's Austin or Dallas or even Houston or San Antonio. So here, especially in Austin being more expensive than all the other cities, you're going to see property tax rates of at least 2.5%. Sometimes if you go into more rural areas, you will find it maybe closer to 2%, but generally the bottom of it is 2.5%, but more commonly you'll see 2.75, 2.85, and then in some newer communities, some newer build developments and things like that that are really expanding, you'll find property tax rates that are even 3% or above 3%. So, I mean, whatever your assessed value is of the home, you do the math. I mean, it could be easily a second mortgage you're taking on just out of pocket to the taxman every year. So I bring it up not to dissuade you or scare you or deter you or intimidate you, but we do not want any of our clients blindsided. And a lot of them, they get their ducks in a row, they talk to their lender, they count their pennies, they know what they can afford, but many of them in the past have not taken into account those damn property taxes. So the more you know. Moving right along, I'd like to briefly touch on the subject of age in regards to Round Rock, Texas. So, according to multiple sources, the median age in Round Rock is 33 years old. And you might be wondering, well, why is that a reason not to move to Round Rock? Well, truth of the matter is, it depends on who you are. So, a lot of the people we find move to Round Rock are relocating there, and many of them are for jobs in tech. And what we're seeing generally, demographically speaking, is it's a lot of young professionals. Maybe not young necessarily in their 20s, but people who are either unmarried or newly married or might be wanting to start a family, they look at Round Rock, Texas. So you might be someone who is perhaps an empty nester, or maybe you are a retiree. And you might be looking at Georgetown, which might have a higher age. I believe that one is 45. Or you might be looking at, obviously, the Tech Corridor, which is going to be even younger than Round Rock. So what I'm getting at is, depending on who you are, people care about who they're around, you know, if it's comparable to myself in age, etc., etc. And no, I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, just truth of the matter, presenting the facts. So depending on who you are, you might want to live in a place that is more mature, or you might want to live in a place that is much more youthful and vibrant, or in the case of Round Rock, it is right in the middle of the road, a healthy balance of everything. So for many people, it's a great fit. For some though, they might not want it. Now, real quickly, before moving on, go ahead and drop a comment down below if you have any questions, agreements, or disagreements. Consider liking the video if we've been providing any value for you. It really helps our channel grow and tells us that we're doing a good enough job. Remember to subscribe, and lastly, share our content with anyone you know who is wanting to learn more about living in Austin, Texas. Okay, next I'll mention something else that might be briefly working against Round Rock, Texas, and that would be its lack of any major water. And I do acknowledge Round Rock does have a place called Meadow Lake Park, Park, but in my own opinion, Meadow Lake Park is going to be a little bit more quaint. It's going to have some playgrounds, it's going to have nice areas for picnics or for jogging, things of that nature. But truth of the matter is, a lot of the people that reach out to us are inevitably moving from the coasts, and while they've made their peace with having no beaches, at least within 4 hours of Austin, Texas, they would like, if possible, to be close to water. So in that case, you've got your West Austin, so Bee Caves, Lakeway, the Westlake Hills. You've got Georgetown with Lake Georgetown. You've even got Lago Vista, which is the north shore of Lake Travis. You've got downtown Austin with Lady Bird Lake, Lake Austin, etc. So in the case of Round Rock, you do have Meadow Lake Park, but it's not really going to blow your socks off, at least in my opinion, if that is what you're after. So take the good with the bad. I mean, you could be someone who couldn't care less about being close to water, but if you are someone who does care, take that into account. On that note, something else I'll mention is Round Rock might not be particularly beautiful either. Much of Round Rock is going to be located right by I-35, and if you don't know, I-35 is a main artery of travel, not just in the state of Texas to get city to city, but in much of the country as well. So yes, Round Rock is quite large, and so much of it is going to be very green, much of it's going to have many parks, master plan communities, a lot of lovely scenery. However, much of it is close to the freeway, and as we all know, anything really close to a freeway can be a bit of an eyesore. So you might be wanting something more rural, you might be wanting something a little bit more scenic. That is what you can expect with Round Rock. It's really, it can be gorgeous, but it also cannot be gorgeous. I think it depends on where in Round Rock you really want to plant your roots. Lastly, I'll mention that Round Rock, you're going to have the types of homes that are close to each other. So it is possible, yes, to perhaps find some acres in Round Rock, but if you're wanting your own land, I would look perhaps in Georgetown or maybe Liberty Hill, Texas, even Bastrop to some extent, other places that are going to be a bit more rural and less suburban. That is just what you can expect in master plan communities, even neighborhoods that are nice enough, maybe not to the tier of master plan. You might not specifically be in the case where you can see your neighbors making dinner, as I was growing up, but they are going to be more of that style, a little bit more cookie cutter than perhaps these grand estates that you can find elsewhere, really maximizing the size of the greater Austin area. So there you have it, guys. Obviously, this channel is called Living in Austin, Texas, so I am not trying to deter you or dissuade you or disenchant you. Round Rock is a lovely place to live. People move there all the time, and people are very happy there, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't at least try and tell you some of the things you might not have heard talking about it. A lot of people like to sugarcoat things or make it sound perfect and pretty when there are imperfections to any place you're going to choose to live. But whether what I've talked about has or has not fazed you and you're looking to plant your roots somewhere in the greater Austin area, that is what we are here for. So do not hesitate. Whether you're 9 days away or 90, go ahead and reach out to us, shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call any day of the week, any time of day. As mentioned, each and every week we do put out tons of new content about Austin, Texas, the good and the bad, so consider subscribing if you haven't and ring that little bell to get notified whenever we put out a new video. Comment down below with any agreements or disagreements or questions, consider liking it if we've provided value, and share it with anyone you know who is curious to learn more about living in Austin, Texas. Until the next one, you guys, my name is Frank, and we will absolutely catch you later.